I wonder if he'll run as a Democrat or an independent.
Never know. Might be a Republican.
Please. Kind of self-respecting black man will run as a Republican. Name one thing the Republican Party has done for black people. One!
Well, they were the party of Lincoln. They stood against the tyranny of oppression by leading the call for the Civil War and forced passage of the Emancipation Proclamation, which freed the slaves.
I named two things lately.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what party he's with.
Hey, you thought that was funny? Well, welcome to Dino Reacts. And here we are with part 2 of Wesley Hunt and Byron Donalds talking about the state of the black conservative. Man, I'm so excited. And as always, let's get after it.
He says MAGA, he says every now and again, but if you listen to what he's saying, everything is about the solutions for all Americans. Right. So everybody can thrive and succeed. He's not
Okay, I'm not going to stop at that much because I want to hear the talk, but I want to talk about that. Donald Trump does absolutely talk to all of us. It's just that the people that don't hear the message are the people that are completely into the perversion of this country, that into the perverse ideals of this country. And that side of the aisle are the ones that accept fatherless homes, accept the unnaturalness of the gender dynamic. They're the ones who feel the most threatened by Donald Trump when all he is talking to prosperity. You can live the life the way you want. Just don't push it on conservatives, Christians, or anybody else. And also don't tell people are crazy for not supporting you. I don't have to support you. I can respect you, but I don't have to support you.
to just Republicans. He's not just talking to independents. He's not just talking to Democrats. When we were in the Bronx, I was with him. What he talked about on that stage was about people in the Bronx, people in New York City,
BCS.
rebuilding that city, getting ahead.
BCS.
That's right.
In South Carolina, yeah.
Get ahead. We're going to rebuild this thing so everybody can get ahead, so people can be successful. You got to understand, the man's made billions.
He doesn't
have to do this.
He doesn't do this.
He could go chill. And Mar-a-Lago, which is worth more than $18 million, I promise you that, is way more than $18 million. Somebody tell Letitia
The chandeliers are worth that.
Listen, man, somebody go tell Letitia James she don't know how to count. But anyway, but he could do anything else he wants to do. But the man loves this country. He legitimately does. I think people understand that. They respect that, and they galvanize.
I want to piggyback on that too. You hit on everything domestic, but also from international standpoint. We have world peace. You know that?
Yeah.
We had world peace.
Yeah.
He is the first Republican president that said, "I am going to move the embassy to Jerusalem in Israel," and he did, and the world respected it. Iran was broke, so they were not on path to have a nuclear weapon and be a nuclear power to harm the world. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin were terrified of this man because he was strong. And that strength is something that we can resonate to, especially being men that are raising our families. No, I want a strong alpha that's going to keep the world in line, and that's what we had for 4 years.
Listen, I got to really touch on the topic of how strong Donald Trump is and what that image is, especially the black man, especially when we're raised in the matriarch, which is the community. Seeing that is something that we've always adhered to because that is the energy of leadership and what Donald Trump has to go through every single day. And as he said before, he didn't even have to do it. He's already rich. But putting himself on the line to be sifted through and filtered through all your personal finances, your businesses, them trying to put you in jail, take all of your properties, kill your family names, take your sons off the board of your own businesses, to be continually being put through all of this scrutiny and to stand up for us is masculinity at its purest. It's the type of masculinity that we all galvanize behind and we want to look up to. You know what I'm saying? We are told as Christians to follow behind the word of Jesus, but we look for those types of examples here on earth. And Donald Trump is as a representative of that example. And you can say he has a storied past. We all do. Well, everybody in America loves a redemption story. I'm going through my redemption story, and you guys are watching it right now play out. And seeing him continually to get out there in front and stand for me and stand for my ideals and stand for the beliefs of the American morality. They're saying the America was built on morals. The Constitution was morals written down, but the Constitution doesn't give me rights. It only states them. God gives me rights. And for liberals not to understand that the Constitution gives me rights, and since they don't have a connection to the morality of why the Constitution was written, is why most of their party is led into a deep perversion, which I cannot get behind at all. But to see Donald Trump come, because he was very much loved by Democrats, to see him come into his own conservatism and see the benefits of the moral compass, loving his family, building generational wealth for his kids. Look at Byron. Look at Byron, that gigantic, excuse my language. But it's a beautiful thing to see Donald Trump, you definitely got my support. Not just in you as a man, but you as a leader. I understand it. We all have faults, nobody's perfect. But I've watched you grow. Since 2016 until now, you've matured so much in front of the camera. I have to give you my vote.
People were complaining about mean tweets, not complaining about World War III.
True. True.
And I do have to ask, last week Trump was convicted. And so how do you think that Trump's conviction and guilty verdict will impact his perception among voters? Are you scared that could hurt his chances in swing states especially?
He raised $200 million in 72.
That $200 million shows me that people are like, yeah, that's stupid. We're with you.
That's
what it tells me.
We have not seen that in the history of this country. I got 200 million reasons why that's not going to work. If he were not running for president, this would not be happening. Period. And I think anybody can admit that. This is happening to him because he is choosing to step into the fray and stick up for all of us. And he's willing to take all the arrows. And let me tell you something. He's not built like most people.
No.
We spent time with him. He is not built like most people. You ask him, how are you deal with this? He's like, I have a good life, Wesley. I'm going to play golf tomorrow morning. You know why? Because he's doing this for his children. He's doing this for his grandchildren. He knows that if it's not him, this country's gone.
Yeah.
And we appreciate him for doing this.
So we spent a bit of time talking about the former president. I want to talk about the current president, Joe Biden. So why do you think?
This country will be gone. Everything that we stand for, the strength and morality we stand for, it's all turned into a undercover version of Sodom and Gomorrah with so much sexual acceptance. It's insane. And me being a part of it and saving myself from it, I can definitely talk about it. It's run rampant. You can do whatever you want. It's consent on consent. That's it. But there's no love and morality in it. It's all about who can get over on who. You know what I'm saying? Who can cheat on who? And I can't live in a nation where that's the overall ideal of the message. Will it happen? Of course. There's nothing new under the sun. But we should have the overall message of goodness, overall message of righteousness, the overall message of the loving thy neighbor, which is not like the message. The message we have now is wokeism, which is, as long as I feel it, I should be able to do it, which isn't right at all.
Where's my drink, man?
I don't even need it right now.
Good after this.
I know we don't need it right now. We don't need it right now. You're right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no. So why do you guys think that minority voters, black male voters, have shifted away from President Biden?
Because he's trash. This man is terrible. Listen, look. Hold on.
That New York came out. That New York came out.
Because it's true.
The New York.
This man's horrible. Let me put it to you this way. I'm a native New Yorker. God bless the New York Jets.
It came out.
But the New York Jets have drafted quarterback after quarterback after quarterback. And after 3 games, the Jets fans look at themselves and they say, oh my gosh, we drafted a guy and he can't play. America has drafted Joe Biden into the White House and they realized, really after a year, he can't play. He cannot do the job. The man looks weak on the world stage. Today at his own presser, he gets done with his statement, looks to the side and mouths, am I taking questions? Like, who does this? You're the leader of the free world and you can't stand in front of reporters and take questions and then you stumble off and you shuffle away. There is no sense of leadership coming from him. Nobody even barely hears from him. It'd be one thing if you talked all the time and then they built, a series of gaffes because you talk a lot. He barely talks. And the gaffe machine is as long as all of his public statements because the man's barely out there. And then you get to the actual policies, the actual decisions.
Yeah.
I have listen, Donald Trump is the master of names, naming somebody something, and I'm not taking that from him. But Joe Biden is the master of disaster.
Yeah.
And listen, not Apollo Creed. Sorry, Rocky. I know we in Philly, but it's not Apollo Creed anymore. It's Joe Biden, the master of disaster. Everything this man has touched has gone to crap. It has all gone wrong.
It's the opposite of the golden touch.
He sucks.
And
we all know he sucks. Yeah. Listen, man, you know what's bad? When the fans of your own team, when they see him coming down the tunnel, are like, oh man,
I hope he makes it. I hope he makes it. No, that's not leadership.
Man, I hope he gets away from the camera soon. So we dodged the bullet. You can't have somebody in the Oval Office being the leader of the free world when this is the track record. And I think that is why, number one, above anything else, why you're seeing minority voters are leaving him or do not have the enthusiasm for him because they know what we know. They know he sucks.
Yeah, but it gets a little bit deeper than that, Byron. the biggest reason why I know that black men are going to be leaving the Democratic plantation is because we've seen the perversion. We've seen, I'm just going to speak from my own faults. I come from a community that it's definitely a matriarch. It glorifies over-sexualization of our women and of our men. It excludes the fathers from the home, and it's cheered upon. Single motherhood is completely cheered upon. And also, single dadhood is expected. So the responsibility to bear the burden of raising a family is not even expected of the men. It's almost like they want to put the men out just so they can have that badge. So there's a complete destruction of family. And then those that want to fight for it get completely ostracized or turned out. There's been many instances where there have been women and men who had the right intentions of marriage, but only in the wrong communities to build that in, just eventually to turn into the perversions that are they're back at the clubs. They're back cheating, sleeping with their neighbors. We already know 30% of black men are raising children that aren't theirs. There's a whole lot going on in society that really needs to change it comes with black people turning themselves back to God. But it first has to start with the men, and the men have to empower themselves. Men right now are going more into these government jobs, more government sanctioned jobs, which are just another version of indoctrination because you have to abide by the government's understanding. So in California, Democratic understanding, Democratic jobs, you're stuck. So a lot of strong men with good jobs can't get through. That's why we need more in the private sector where we don't answer the government, where the government has to come to us for money. And that way you'll be able to speak. You'll be able to have your ability. And for me, that's what I did. I opened my own catering business so I can do my own thing. So I can think and move for myself and not have to worry about being told what to do from people that do not have my best interests in mind. And when it comes to the Democratic Party, they completely do not want these type of men prevalent all over the black community because it would change overnight. There's too much strength in that. They would rather have us identifying with rappers and entertainers or drugs, is anything that is completely low vibrational.
They just won't say it out loud, but they already know.
Hot garbage, yeah. And on the world scale, the world is watching. I've mentioned being on the verge of World War III on multiple occasions now. The disastrous withdrawal that we saw in Afghanistan was where this whole thing began. This feckless leadership. This is where Vladimir Putin realized that, this is now the time for us to take Ukraine. Would have never happened.
Oh, I got sorry. I don't mean to cut it off all the time, but dude, see how they just swept that right under the rug? Getting off Afghanistan, all the 25 American soldiers that were killed there, the family members that were killed there, the U.S. taking independent mercenary contractors to go extradite Americans from Afghanistan during that whole debacle of, I don't know the word for it, the way they left Afghanistan, and then how all the families here, when it comes to like giving a salute to the fallen soldiers, didn't even want Joe Biden there. They asked President Trump to go there. But the media swept that right under the rug like it didn't happen. And that should show you a state of things. When the ones that are actually dying on the field don't want the president of the United States to show up, you know something's wrong.
Under President Trump would have never happened.
Never.
What happened in Israel in October would have never happened under President Trump. Right now, China is looking like they're getting ready to start to move on a few countries as well. Would never happen under President Trump because they're looking at a man that can barely read a teleprompter. He cannot walk. He cannot find his way on and off the stage. It's actually elder abuse at this point. And this is not even about Trump at this point. This is about, do we have a guy that can even make it for the next few months? And guess who number 2 is? Kamala Harris. So guess what? Wait, there's more. It actually gets worse than that. And so they are really stuck between a rock and a hard place right now. If you're looking at Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, this dynamic duo that, quite frankly, one might not make it until then. And then if he does it, you have the backfill of Kamala Harris.
Man.
This is a complete disaster.
You can't call
My borders are.
You can't call them a dynamic duo. Man, Batman and Robin rolling over in their grave. Listen
Sarcasm.
You can't do that.
Sarcasm. A Texas thing, man.
They do that in Texas. Batman and Robin, you the dynamic duo, not these two. I stand by that.
So looking,
I guarantee it. I stand behind it. I guarantee it.
By that.
I
I'm
love
sorry. Go
watching
ahead.
the banter between you guys. No, it's good. And so, looking past the 2024 election, if voters do shift in historic numbers this cycle, as you mentioned before, it's about keeping them engaged. Not just during election year, just always making sure that they're involved. How can the GOP keep them?
Well, now I'm gonna say this. Republicans have sucked at this too.
We're
They've
not
never
the
even
best
thought
of it. We're not the
this was
best
a
of
good
it.
idea
We're not the
for a
best of it.
myriad of reasons I don't want to get into, mostly because they just never felt that black people would vote Republican.
Yeah.
And so the political consultants who make millions and millions of dollars running campaigns, let's call a spade, let's call it what it is. They look at the black population and say, well, we could only maybe get 10%. That's a lot of resources to put over there when I could just put it over here. No. That is changing. People in our country, the political foundations of our country are moving under our feet. And people are in a place where frankly, the politicians and the consultants do not think that they are. And frankly, media as well. They don't really know where people are. So I think what we're starting in this election cycle is a continued relationship. And I stress the word relationship. Because I don't want a cheap date every 4 years.
Yeah, right.
I want somebody who's coming home.
Who's going to be there?
Who's going to be here with us. And else is going to hold us accountable. If we're veering off, you're going to hold us accountable.
Yeah.
And at the same time, if we're doing good, they'll say, you know what? Keep going. Because this politics thing isn't about who has titles and who has gavels. It's about the people that we all serve. It's about our country being better. We are the greatest republic in the history of the world, but we're crumbling right now. Mm-hmm. And if we don't get it together,
we can fix it.
It ain't going to last much longer.
The crumbling is happening because we have a certain sect of this country that believes they have rights over other people's children, other people's thoughts, and other people's behaviors. I read an article today about CNN getting mad at Justice Alito for stating that he's Christian. He's a Christian conservative. What that has to do with him being a Supreme Court justice? Those things can be completely separate. And the fact that they can't separate the two unbiasedly without thinking about their own views and biasism is insane to me. It's like, this rule for me, not for thee thing is truly how the Democrats run their party. And I'm not going to let them destroy this country just because they can't get their way. And what way do they actually want? There's no policy in what they're doing. They just want Sodom and Gomorrah. It's crazy.
And we can fix it, and we will fix it. And this is one thing I will say about him on day one.
Fucking crazy.
This is not about I'm the only black guy. Now there's two of us. Now there's four. This is about building a coalition and doing more. We are sitting here right now. We are building roots right here in Philly. I want to come back here in 2 years for the midterm and come back again because we are actually responding to the groups of people that need this country to be strong the most.
Yeah.
And that is those that are less fortunate. A stronger America benefits them disproportionately than those that have it all. And so we will continue this relationship, but you got to start somewhere.
Yes.
And again, for us, this is not about we're not going to go out and we're going to get 20, we're going to get 30% of the black vote this election. That's not going to happen. We're going to try our best to do it. But this is a start.
Yes, this event is the start. And
by the way, of the entire black vote, not just black men. I want to get 30% of the entire black vote.
Bro, you know what happens at 30%?
So
you know what happens.
It's over.
But remember,
it's over. There's no need for an election at that.
So hold on, real quick.
It's math.
I'm gonna talk a little bit of NBA. Yeah. 2001 dunk contest. Vince Carter. Vince Carter comes out.
Over.
The reverse 360 windmill
dunker of all time.
And you saw Shaq on his face through his camcorder being like,
"Yeah, it's over."
And Vince was walking back.
It's over.
30% of the black.
As you can see, from Florida to Texas, the coalition of black conservatives is coming together. They're taking their message everywhere from Philadelphia to Chicago and to California. And they're galvanizing all of us to let us know that we have support. And I hope that California can get a representative just as strong and as dedicated as Wesley Hunter and Byron Donalds. And I'm very, very happy to see this message being pushed into the communities. And I'm going to do my part to keep that thing going. And it's I see a very bright future for us if we can come together and actually get at least 50% of the black male vote and 25% of the overall black vote. That will show a great heavy push because I'm a firm believer when black men and white men work together, we in slavery. Whether it's slavery of the mind or slavery of culture. we end it all. And with that, I want to say we out. Ooh, here we go again. Thank you guys again for watching Dino Reacts. And as always, if you like my content, like, comment, and subscribe. And always, chef's kiss. Mwah.